Good afternoon and welcome to number one sports ground for round two of the Newcastle City Council Summer Bash. It's the West Rosellas up against Stockton and Northern District Seagulls. The Rosellas got a victory in round one over the Black Roses, while the Seagulls went down to Belmont, so they'll want to turn around their form this afternoon. The news from the toss is West's won it and they elected to bat, as you do. My name's Ben Homer. With me in commentary this afternoon, Chris McPherson and Jared Logan. We will go and check in with them in just a second, and it will be Nick Foster to open the bowling for Stockton, the Seagulls. And he's going to be bowling to the man who is right in form at the moment, Aaron Wivell. Made 66 not out in West's opening round win over the Black Roses, Cardiff Bullaroo. Foster to get us underway, and immediately a full toss and immediately over the boundary. What a strike from Aaron Wivell. Not a bad start, Chris.
No, certainly the way they would have liked to start, they couldn't have asked for anything more. A rank full toss that he did the work on and dispatched it beautifully out here square of the wicket.
So what run rate is that now? What is the predicted total based on 36?
720.
This one, he gets to land Foster and driven into the covers.
He's certainly the form man at the moment, Aaron Wivell, that's for sure, in both this shorter form and the two-day cricket.
Comes down the wicket, this one off the edge and in between. Probably gully and point there, and it races over the boundary. Ben Whitty unable to catch up with it. A really good start here for the Rosellas. None for 10 off just 3 balls. Foster continues, and Wivell this time is a little more composed, just nurdling it through the gap. But you couldn't have asked for a better beginning to the innings, none for 11. And Ben Chu now on strike to face his first delivery. Leaves that one. How often do you see a leave in a T20?
I would have thought after the way Aaron Wivell started, he might have been looking to go in the same vein, but maybe he's already decided he's the anchor.
Interesting to see Ben Chu out there opening the batting. Just 6 runs for him in the two-day competition this year as we finish the first over. None for 11 off the 1 over. What do you think the decision is there, Chris, the reason for opening with Ben?
I don't think the regular opener's here. Joe Price is running a bit late from what we're hearing, and he would normally open up. So these two guys have both stepped up into the opening pair as opposed to the usual openers, just due to a few guys obviously struggling to escape work with a 5 o'clock start. Yeah,
that's fair enough. That is fair enough. Yeah, just 10 runs across the 2 competitions for Ben Chu, the Tom Locker and the 2 days. And happy just to see those 2 deliveries off from Nick Foster. Probably hear the wind in the effects mic. Quite strong this afternoon from the south, about 25 kilometres an hour. Cooling things down. Blue sky all around. Apart from the wind, a perfect afternoon. Here's Wivell facing up. There'll be no run there, just behind point. Dan Upwood opening the bowling from the far end. Parry Street end of number one sports ground. And Chris, we've actually got 2 players out on the park with number 2. Ben Whitty, the keeper, and then backward point. We might explore that after this delivery. Well taken by the keeper, Whitty. Now tell me, who have we got here at backward point? Because it's quite confusing having 2 men with the number 2 on their back.
We're just trying to get a little bit of an investigation into that. Sent Jared off to convene with the Stockton Northern Districts. I was going to say their bench, but their coaching staff, just to work out who it is. So we'll come back to you with an update.
Was it his brother Matt? We'll have to find out. And Wivel struck that one nicely, straight up and over long on for 6. He's hitting the ball sweetly this season, Aaron Wivel, and that has continued this afternoon.
So it looks like that's Keith Moody. He's obviously been listed in the 20, but he's run too fast and the 0 is already blown away. So that will be the one for you to be able to differentiate from up there on the balcony.
Keith Moody, there you go. Just trying to confuse us. So they've just put long off back here, even though Wivel's gone up and over long on that particular delivery. Upward continues. Wivel forcing a quick fielding effort, and there'll be no run there. Just at point. And Wivel again. Well, the change in the field wasn't a bad move, but the power on the strike down towards long off. There wasn't enough power behind it to reach the man on the boundary, and that is Dan Foster. Just holding up in the breeze as well with the southerly coming sort of across the ground. Swirling around a bit to a degree, and Chu has played that one beautifully. Racing along the outfield, and it will get there. And this good start continues for the Rosellas as they look to build a sizable total. 2 overs bowled, none for 23. And Chris, of the 4 matches that I've called here at Number One Sports Ground, this is close to the best start of any side. None for 23 off 2 overs.
Yeah, they're making their intentions very clear here. If they were batting second, we would have thought Aaron Wivel had somewhere to be. But yeah, Carter started well in the first over, but they lost a wicket early as well. So yeah, West certainly setting a tone, and it's going to be interesting to see if they can go on with it from here. You know, I mean, 11 plus and over already is pretty aggressive.
West's highest run scorer in the 2 days this year, Aaron Wivel, just gets through for a single. Second top scorer in the Tom Locker Cup for Wests with 144. It's been an indifferent run for last season's 2-day champions, though, in the last few weeks. They have lost 2 of their last 3 2 days, including to Wallsend on the weekend, despite Aaron Wivel hitting 165. And Chu has sliced that one backward of point, and a couple of boundaries consecutively for him. The last 2 deliveries he's dispatched pretty much in the same area of the ground at opposite ends. So Nick Foster got some treatment in his first over. Received some there, and Chu, the confidence is flowing. A little bit of a miscommunication, and Aaron Wivel should have been run out there. Ben Whitty couldn't quite clutch the throw and knock it onto the stumps. That is a huge chance. There's the throw. It was just to his right. Too much of a stretch for him. To be fair, not a great throw from the fielder. Was Matt Whitty there just forward of point. So Aaron Wivel just off the outside edge. They get through for the single. A little bit wayward on the throw again. And that's a match changer, Chris, isn't it? You get Aaron Wivel out, run out in the form he's in currently.
Yeah, that's definitely something that Stockton could live on to regret at the end of this innings.
And that is the end of the over. I was being a bit unfair on Matt Whitty. We've just had a bit of confusion over numbers. It was Lachlan Hancock, the fielder, in there, just in forward of point, and just a little wayward on the throw. So you couldn't have asked for a better start. 3 overs, none for 31, and both Ben Chu and Aaron Wivell hitting the ball quite nicely. As I was saying before, Wivell 165 on the weekend against Wallsend. Series upward continuing, and Chu just drives him down to long on. And a misfield on the rope, and has it got there in the end? I think it may have. Dan Foster down at long off. Here it is on the replay. Was bobbling ever so slowly.
This looked like it caught a divot as it went towards him, sort of changed direction a little bit, just enough to come off the wrist. That's a outfielder's nightmare.
That was a bit of a comedy of errors, wasn't it? It's upward. That's a better delivery. A little bit of bounce as well there. Yeah, it was interesting from Dan Foster. The ball rolling towards him, went through his legs, and then as he went to pick it up, his knee hits the ground. Oh, you got a feel for him. That's one you don't want when the TV cameras, the bar TV cameras, are here. Upward to Chu. Beautifully placed, that drive. Just the right of the cover fielder, Lucas Sargent. And I'll get back for a couple. Chu, this one, he's just spooned it straight to cover. So it's been a short innings from Ben Chu, but it was an entertaining one. A few boundaries in there. And West lose their first wicket inside 4 overs, but he's done the damage. 1 for 37. Really good start from the opening pair.
Yeah, they've certainly set the tone, so it'll be interesting to see. Got Mark McLaughlin, aka Merv, coming out the bat now, it looks like. So another probably escalation up the order for him. He normally bats a little bit lower down and has been playing a little lower grade cricket, but was strong for them in their first T20 game last week when they got the job done over the Black Roses over at Harker.
Yeah, scored 44. So he'll be hoping for more of the same. Doesn't play in the 2 days or the Tom Locker Cup. McLaughlin.
No, normally a lower grade player, but he can strike the ball well, and could be danger signs for Stockton. These two, when they partnered against the Black Roses last week, partnered up for almost 100 runs, a 98-run partnership that was the backbone of the Rosella's innings.
So you're saying it'll be entertaining, Chris, as upward continues to Wivell. Another bit of bounce off the wicket. A couple of balls are really reared up this over. It's just on McLaughlin, so we're expecting to be entertained. Is that what you're saying?
I haven't seen too much of him bat. He's been around the traps for a long time, I'm told, though, and yeah, he has a decent bat arc. He's, as you can see on the screen there, not a small unit, so I'd say if he gets hold of one, it's going to be well hit.
Looking forward to that. Final ball. Sort of chopped it down the ground. Did Aaron Wivell, and he will retain the strike. So the end of almost a chance to run back and grab a second. They won't do that. 4 overs down. 1 for 38. So we see that wicket of Ben Chu. Just really spooned it up to cover. One of the easiest catches you'll probably see. Previous delivery got it up and over cover, not on the second attempt though. So Nick Foster going to continue. He's going to bowl 3 straight here. Wivel on strike, who thumped him around in the first over. Will he continue the carnage here? 251 runs in the 2 days this year, with that 100 on the weekend, his first of the season. It's an incredible stat for Aaron Wivel. 100 this year and no 50s in the 2 days. In the one-day competition, he scored a couple. So when he gets going, he scores big runs. As McLaughlin, is that one off the pad? He's looking for a quick single. Not going to get it though.
It certainly looks like Aaron Wivel switched a magic switch across the Christmas break. 165 in the 2 days and 66 not out in their previous T20 match, and obviously he's seeing him like beach balls early out here as well.
And if my maths is correct, I think that's an average of about 115 and a half maybe. So McLaughlin happy just to get a couple of siders.
Well, add in today's 20 and the fact that he's not out and he's averaging about 250 after Christmas.
Well, sorry, exactly. No, you're spot on. Yeah, he was 66 not out in that round one win over the Rosellas. And it is about over 240. He'll get the strike here with McLaughlin just nudging that one off his hips. And Wivel maybe just struggling to pick up Foster the last couple of deliveries. Came down the track and angled his bat. They get through for a couple. And that brings an end to the 5th over, 1 for 43.
Looked like he came down the track there to sort of get to the flight of the ball, and then Foster might have reacted as he saw him coming down and dropped it a little bit shorter again, which caught him off guard. Hence the change in shot at the last second just to roll it around the corner.
Yeah, smart batting from him. And smart bowling as well from Nick Foster. So Dan Upward is going to continue. So they're not willing to change the bowlers. Keen to let them get into a bit of rhythm and bowl out or go close to bowling out their overs. We'll see if Nick Foster does bowl himself out the next over from this end. He bowled 2 overs, 1 for 16 in their opening match. He's actually got both of the Seagulls wicket this T20 Summer Bash. And he almost had a third there. Feeling good about his bowling at this point in time. $11 wickets for the season. Upward. This one flicked away. To short, fine leg, and Aaron Wivel wanted the single. He wanted the strike back. Little bit of indecision, but they get through. So we just see here McLaughlin flicked it, may have flicked the boot as well on the way through. Well fielded by Brodie Cox. It's Upward. Wivel backs away. Can't get it past Hancock in the covers. Chris, I'm just going to check this other score in the final second round match to be completed. The Waratahs up against the Whips as Aaron Wivel just launches this one, and it's gone very high and well taken by the wicketkeeper Ben Whitty, and that is a really important wicket. Aaron Wivel, the in-form batsman, on his way. A solid start, but he just couldn't go on with it this afternoon.
Yeah, it looked like he just sort of started to slow down and identified he wanted to sort of go again for the last little bit of the power play, but top edge, that one, and not the result he's after, but a strong replacement coming out in seasoned all-rounder Joe Price.
So he's arrived here a bit late from work, and now Joe Price striding out to the wicket as we see. Maybe just slowed up off the pitch as well. A bit of a slower delivery from upward. Wicketkeeper calling it, and Woody pouched it nicely. And down upward, that's 3 wickets for the Seagulls in the Summer Bash. All 3 to the big quick. Wicket number 12 for him for the season. And out goes Joe Price. And just in that other match, the Waratahs 2 for 7, so in real trouble against the Whips. McLaughlin on strike. Mark McLaughlin this season has a batting average of 69.8. That's across all competitions, and this one off the edge. It's speeding towards the boundary, and I think he's done really well there, Dan Foster, to keep it inside the line. We might have a look at the replay, but I'm backing him in here.
Yeah, looked like he did a great job there from our angle. But that shot from Merv McLaughlin certainly just puts adage into that old line. If you swing hard enough at it, good results will come.
We'll just go through Big Merv's run scoring tallies. We see Foster here. Geez, it was close. Yeah, I'm backing him in. I know it's tough to tell from that angle. I'm backing him in.
He's got it by an inch.
So Mark McLaughlin, in the 2-dayer earlier in the season, scored 118, then 11, this is in second grade, 28, 1, 2, 37 in third grade, 108 in third grade, and then 44. And here this afternoon, he is ticking along. We'll just get his updated score. Hasn't been updated yet from 1, but he's on a few more than that now. So a couple of hundreds for him in the lower grades this season, a 44 in the first match of the Bash. And he's on strike now with Nick Foster bowling his final over. His first 3 went for 23. McLaughlin can't get it past Hancock. Probably hit it too hard in the end to get through for a single. Are you surprised by Nick Foster bowling himself out here, Chris?
I certainly think he's obviously one of the key bowlers for them, so I'm surprised he didn't hold 1 over up his sleeve, but yeah, I guess he's just looking to try and slow things back down again here. It'll be interesting to see what other sort of options they use as their death bowling options, but obviously they've used himself and upward, and he may even use upward for his 4th to finish him off, but leaves them with not much in the tank for those death overs.
Joe Price just looking for a single down to long off. And he has a wild swing at this one. No contact though for the man who was the leading run scorer for the Rosellas in their one-day competition this year. Their campaign in the Tom Locker Cup. This one dropped short, flicked away. A deep mid-wicket. Happy enough with the single. And the end of Nick Foster's spell. And that brings an end to the 7th over. I was just going to go back to the Seagulls' first match against the Whips, and the Whips really were smacking it all over the park. They reached the Seagulls' total of 109 in 11.2 overs. So a very tough, as we see that wicket of Aaron Wivel during the last over of Dan Upward. And he's going to finish off his spell here. So Foster received some treatment in that particular match. He started slowly here with Aaron Wivel hitting him for a couple of boundaries, but responded well in his next 3. He was hit for 11 off his first over, and his last 3 went for just 15. So that's a good comeback from Nick Foster. So Dan Upward with figures of 2 for 21 off 3, and for a moment then, thought he had a decent appeal, but maybe off the inside edge. It's difficult to see from this angle. Going down the leg. Was there an inside edge on that, Chris? Surely there.
Really hard to tell from that replay angle.
Yeah, I thought there would have been a bigger appeal. And on this occasion, Price gets it away. Pounced at an odd angle. Almost went back behind the fielder on the rope. You can see out there, which is the number 20. Now, this confusion reigns. Keith Moody was originally in number 20. Then he was in 2. So we're going with Keith Moody on the boundary there. They're stitching us up, Stockton, as McLaughlin backs away and just heaves it down the ground.
It's hard to get a read on which jersey's which, and we got Foster, Upward, and the wicket keeper. Outside of that, I'm not too confident on too many of the others.
Well, I can only go off what we've been given. So, Dan Upward. Oh, so we see the ball, the throw came in, he almost got hit in the head by the bail. Now it looks as though Brodie Cox is just limbering up, so we might see him come on to bowl shortly. That one stays a bit low, so still a bit of uneven bounce, even though we're a couple of pitches across from the pitch we used last week, Chris. It's playing similar.
Yeah, it really looks as a bit more action has gone through the pitch. Obviously it's now looking at almost, 80 to 90 overs of play on it, so we've got a full day of play into it, and it's starting to play like a second day pitch essentially.
And he's hit that one high, Joe Price, and it's been dropped down at long on. Another big wicket goes begging for the Seagulls. Here it is. Well, it was really straight into the breadbasket, wasn't it? So Aaron Wivel, they missed that run out earlier on. In the end, it didn't cost them too much. Will the wicket of Joe Price cost them dearly, as McLaughlin can't scamper through for a single. And that's the end of 8 overs, 2 for 50 for the Rosellas.
Hey Ben, just joined on the sideline here by Aaron Wivel. What do you think of the innings, mate?
Not too bad. It was kind of good to get off to a bit of a quick 5-20, but probably should have stayed in there and batted through the innings a bit more and stabilised. Waited for Joe to come in, but reasonably happy with it. Hopefully Merv and Joe can form a good partnership now.
Yeah, well, that looks like the key is obviously in form. You're seeing them really well.
Yeah.
Had a bit of a panic start, with work and all that. What do you think a good total is out there today?
Definitely 160 plus, I believe, would be a great score. Since the boundaries are brought in a little bit with these two out there, if they can get their eyes in, I think anything above 160 will be above par.
And just finally, how is the pitch playing? That's obviously the third night out there, but how's it playing?
Found it wasn't too bad. I mean, I didn't really face when I hit the pitch, to be honest, but it was fine from Daniel from that end, gained a bit of pace into the breeze after his second and third over. So it was a little bit slow, but besides that, it was pretty true. Yeah, pretty true.
Yeah, righto, mate. Thanks for that and good luck.
Thanks to Aaron, and also thanks to Jared on the boundary. The Sports Castle boys, Chris and Jared, this afternoon. And Brodie Cox is into the attack for the Seagulls. third highest wicket taker in the 2 days, Brodie Cox, with 12 wickets. A couple also in the Tom Locker Cup. And McLaughlin, like the look of that. There's a man out screening at deep cover. Just the one.
You talk about the top wicket takers for the Seagulls. Very surprised not to see Ben West in this lineup. I don't know if it's an availability thing. He's been in absolute red hot form with the ball sort of since the 2-day cricket started, that's for sure.
Yeah, 20 wickets for him in the 2 days this year. And McLaughlin, has he got enough on it? You bet he has. A third 6 of the innings. And Merv McLaughlin hit that one sweetly. I should say it might be Joe Price who has struck that one up and over cover. Really well hit by the in-form West batsman. Both got very tall and strong frames. It was Joe Price. So Cox continues, and Price up and over cover again. He's got enough on that to the short boundary. They're taking advantage of it, the Rosellas currently. Great strong swing of the bat. Up and over cover. He's really liking the look of this bowling from Cox. Does he go for 3 in a row? And he pulls out. Maybe just lost a bit of rhythm after the last 2 balls seen flying over the fence. You might be in for a catch here, Chris and Jared.
You've obviously never seen either of us play cricket before. We might be in for getting hit by a ball. I don't know about a catch.
Here we go. Cox in. This time Price just rolls it down to long on. Long off, I should say, which is Dan Upward doing the fielding. And that brings an end to the 9th over, 2 for 65.
You touched on a little bit earlier, obviously, the rapid chase down of the total last week against Stockton by the Whips. Stockton set a bit of a trend for that. We talked about it last week in regards to them getting bowled out for 46 and chased down in about 6 overs by Charlestown last year. In this corresponding fixture, they posted 109 in the 2017-18 Summer Bash, and West chased it down 2 for 112 off 11.2 overs. So, yeah, it certainly seems like T20 cricket may not necessarily be the fielding and bowling forte of the Seagulls.
Yes, yeah, precisely. And they're looking at a very hefty run chase at this point with Joe Price and Mark Merv McLaughlin batting quite nicely currently. So Price on strike. Swings that one away to the onside. Couple of bounces. Daniel Foster into the attack.
In that chase last year, unsurprisingly, Joe Price was the star of the show. 50 not out off 26 balls.
And the way he's hitting them at the moment, you'd back him in for another half century. Here's Foster. Into McLaughlin. That was sweet, wasn't it? Straight out of the middle and over the fence. And the City boys are training over there. They might want to get their crash helmets on because McLaughlin and Price are hitting the ball so nicely currently.
Yeah, if you're the coaching staff over there for Newcastle City, you might just get a few of the boys doing fielding practice on the hill there. There'll be a few coming their way at this rate.
Here's Foster. 9 wickets for them this year in the 2 days. And now up and over cover. It won't quite get to the boundary. What a masterstroke this is, bringing McLaughlin up to the first grade side, playing a bit of T20 Summer Bash. It's been a terrific move, 44 in the first match to help them to victory over the Black Roses. And McLaughlin, straight up in the air. It hangs up in the breeze. It was swirling too and put down.
Didn't look like an easy one, that one. A little bit of indecision between the two fielders. They're looking at each other initially, and maybe that just didn't give them a chance to get set under that one, adding the swirling breeze, and that's not an easy catch by anyone's standards.
It was the 41 Lucas Sargent. Just really got himself tangled up there. It hasn't been a great fielding effort from the Seagulls thus far. This one threaded behind point. Whipped in by Moody. And they are right on target for a great total. We've spoken about it in previous matches, Chris. You get above 140, you put yourself right in the box seat, don't you?
You certainly do. I mean, batting first alone's a big advantage, but setting a strong total makes it really hard as the light fades.
As that is the end of the 10th over, the halfway point of this round 2 Newcastle City Council Summer Bash innings for the Rosellas, who won in round 1 against the Black Roses. The Seagulls went down to Belmont, and at the moment it's going to form with the Rosellas really going along nicely, humming along. 2 for 76 off 10. As we see Brodie Cox, he's going to bowl to Joe Price here, who thumped him over the boundary for 2 sixes in the last over. Up and over cover. Pretty much where Jared and Chris are at the moment, the Sports Castle boys under the tent. And Price again goes towards deep cover, and he's hit it so well that he had to rush through. And we'll just get the 1 in the end. He's really taking a liking to that short boundary. That one came back quickly at Cox. Fielded well off his own bowling. Currently sitting 8th on the table in the 2-day competition, Stockton. 2 wins in their last 3 matches. 10 points outside the top 4. McLaughlin walks at Cox. Down to long on. And there is Nick Foster.
Talk about the setting of a competitive total. The only team that's failed to defend a total so far at number 1 Sports Ground in the Summer Bash was the Sabres, who only posted 99. So essentially, if you can post sort of anything north of 110, you're certainly looking great.
And here's Price. This one away from the man at deep cover. And maybe just backward of point. Couple of bounces. Another boundary for Joe Price, who has been in outstanding touch in the shorter format. Leading run score, 164 runs in the Tom Locker Cup this year. 3 half centuries with a top score of 60. And in the 2 days this year, has knocked up 107 as his top score as he works that one down to long on. He's looking for a second. He won't get it. Not a bad average either of 41. For Joe Price. Spoke about big McLaughlin's average, almost around 70. It would be over 70 this season at this point, being not out. As Brodie Cox's over comes to an end. 11 down, 2 for 85. So Foster to continue to McLaughlin. Well, it was an interesting shot in the end. It will land safe. He's happy there was no one there at square leg. Just sort of pulled out of the pull shot in the end. Maybe if he had gone through with it, it would have gone close to going over the rope. It is such a short boundary. I don't know if you boys got the measuring tape out, but it's not a massive hit.
No, it's certainly not a big hit here. We're going to get Jared to step it out. Even at his height, it's only a few strides. So
Joe Price didn't get a great piece of that.
Certainly think after seeing how Merv hit a couple down the ground, it'd only be a pitching wedge or a sand wedge over here quite easily, and not much of a backswing on it.
Especially with the pace on the ball from the delivery from Foster. This one off the edge, straight to Zanardi. Might see him bowl a little later on. Joe Price, 26 not out on strike currently. And McLaughlin, 18. Price, well, it was a tight run thing. Moody doing the fielding. In the end, McLaughlin got there. If there was a direct hit, I fancy it would have been curtains. We say here, it was tight. But when there's a direct hit, invariably the batsman is caught short. McLaughlin having to reach for that one, maybe a bottom edge. It's slowing up, but it will get to the boundary. Zanardi just unable to track it down. And 2 for 90 now. As we're near the 12 over mark. Just 1 ball to go in this Dan Foster over. And the statisticians and the mathematicians say double the score in the T20 after 12 overs. And I'll tell you what, if you do that this afternoon, the Rosellas are looking at a score around 180. Maybe more. Well, maybe more. McLaughlin's got plenty of height on it and plenty of length. Well struck, another maximum for the Rosellas.
I think he must have heard you there. He's obviously got a target of 200 in mind.
What's that, 192 if you double that?
Just shows, obviously, as we talked about just before, the run out could have been really crucial. A 4 and a 6 to finish that off, and makes a big difference. Cardiff showed us on Tuesday night that direct hits, they had 2 absolutely spectacular direct hits, and they were probably the big difference between themselves and Merriweather in that game. So this one could come back to haunt them, and that's probably the second one we've talked about, that being the case with.
Oh, yeah, I think that was the difference, really. Those early wickets, the run-outs of Simon Moore, was one run out in the first couple of overs. That just changed the match and the momentum, and then John O'Dunn was on his way shortly after.
Yeah, I think it was Aaron Bills and the other one escapes me from
Jay Snedden. It was Jay Snedden doing the fielding on the rope, down at third man, I'm pretty certain, as Brody Cox is in to bowl his final over. Chipped out to deep cover. Oh, gee, it bounced up off the edge of the square there. Cox did well to prevent it bouncing over him, and they would have been through for probably an overthrow. So here he is, Big McLaughlin. What's he got in his kit bag? 29 not out he is at the moment. There's an easy single there as he gets to 30.
It's interesting watching him from square of the wicket. His first intent seems to be to take a big stride down the pitch and be ready to go after that ball. Every delivery, doesn't seem to matter who's bowling to him. He's coming forward, probably taking the LB out of the equation, but also getting some power into that strike.
So Joe Price, liked the look of Cox before. Just happy and content to prod it through the covers. Just having a quick scan. A few people watching may have the test match up currently with Australia taking on Sri Lanka, and The Sri Lankans are 6 for 93 at the moment. Jai Richardson has ripped them apart. 3 for 20 on debut. Here's Cox. And McLaughlin again, as you said, Chris. That big stride down the wicket. We'll just walk the single. Price again. Pushes it out to the offside. And it's a direct hit, and it's gone against Stockton. So when they want and they need to hit the stumps, they don't. And when they don't need to, they've hit them on a couple of occasions.
I think when it's not your day, it's not your day.
And just on West, in the Tom Locker Cup, they finished third in Pool A. A couple of wins, just the one loss, and a couple of draws. And in the 2 days, sitting sixth, 5 points outside the top four. They can hit some form towards the end of the season. I'll make it into that top four. Well hit by Joe Price. Has it got enough on it? It has. To the long boundary as well. That shows you the power and force of Joe Price. Well struck in the end of 13 overs. 2 for 108. So impressed as well. And the wind as well. It's swirling around. And that's not with the wind behind it. The wind probably coming across that stroke. That's such an impressive flay of the blade.
It's a quality cricket stroke. It's not one of those sort of, you know, what might be referred to as a T20 slog or anything like that. And that shows the sort of range that Joe Price has. And it was a big reason why West won the 2-day championship last year. He was a crucial part of that team, both with bat and ball.
Well, this is surprising. So Stockton bringing on the slow man. Let's get the number plate. Sam Jenkins it is. And he's going to be bowling into the wind, into this southerly. And big Merv McLaughlin, he's going to be hitting with the wind here to the shorter boundary. Really surprising move. His eyes might light up here, and they do. First delivery. One bounce and just the one run. Are you surprised as well, Chris? Slow bowler into the wind, and Joe Price and Mark McLaughlin hitting with the wind.
Yeah, two right-handers here. Certainly quite surprised. I think the only thing looking at that first delivery that might be in his favour is he's going to be spinning it sort of away from this short boundary, but even then, after seeing that last strike of Joe Price, he'll still find it easy to clear the fence, let alone the boundary here if he wants to.
And that is exactly what Joe Price does. And the last couple of
coaches have taken my advice. The catching practices down there on the hill.
They have. They have. And as you said, the last six that Joe hit was just such a nice, easy swing of the bat. Same thing again there. Just doesn't look like he's getting out of second gear. He just rolls it over the fence, and now it's rolled onto the stumps. And that's what the wind does give the slower bowlers. Allows the ball to drop, and that one dropped on Joe Price. And it's knocked off his off bail, and he is on his way. A great knock from him. He'll probably be a little gutted that he didn't go on with it. But he's put West in a great position here. You just see on the replays, really did drop on him. It's a bit slow through the shot, and maybe a master stroke in the end.
And that might be the reason why Nick Foster brought him on.
Yeah, I'm thinking so. It's a bit of drop, and it worked on that occasion. Obviously, a six the ball before. You probably take that. 7 off the first 2 balls, and then a wicket.
I think at the stage of the game with the score where it is, Nick Foster realised they needed probably to take a gamble and see what they could come up with. It's got a result. If he could pick up another wicket here, it'd be massive.
New man is James King, and off the mark with his first delivery, and he's keen to come back for a second and does. ...128 runs in the 2 days this year for James King. Couple of, or just the 150. It's an incredible stat, this. James King with the only 50 a West player has scored in 2-day competition this year. Has scored 200s and 150. Not often you see that. Just the 29 runs in the Tom Locker Cup though. Didn't quite get going in the 1 days. McLaughlin, that's dropped on him as well. That's a decent over. After it started a little slowly, hit for a bit Sam Jenkinson, I should say, and finishes it nicely. So 6 overs left, 3 for 113. Brody Cox, this is final over now. And just checking the score at the other ground, the Waratahs, they're in early trouble. They were 3 for 17. And they've recovered 3 for 60 now. Mackenzie and Crawley putting on a strong partnership of 43 runs. Jonty Durheim out for 4. Robinson for a duck and Robbins for 2. So 3 big wickets. Cox. Out to deep square leg for a single. James King, who didn't play in their round 1 win. Say he did play, just didn't bat because they got it 2 wickets down. We'll appreciate some time out in the middle. And McLaughlin content with the single. .33 not out, Mark McLaughlin. Cox is in and swung over me wicket. Boys, you're in the game.
Certainly were there, Ben. I did call Chris to get up off his seat, but he was checking some stats, and I think he'll get the next one.
Well, he's lucky it didn't clean him up if he was looking down on his phone. Here we go. You'll see the boys, they're just to the right of the pink tent. Well struck out over mid-wicket by King to the short boundary. And he takes it on again, but couldn't get aerial on this occasion. His first 3 overs went for 35. And this one has copped some treatment. Brody Cox with the ball in hand. facing up, and that one should be a wide. Has it brushed the pad on the way through? Maybe it has. There was a little half appeal from Cox, and that's what the umpire believes. I think he's a little bit lucky there.
I think he might have bluffed the umpire with that appeal.
Definitely, I thought it was fairly wide. McLaughlin did walk across his stumps to square leg. Again, walks down the wicket. As an air swing. Smart wicket keeping though from Whitty. Saw that he was out of his ground. And is that an option to bring the keeper up for Mark McLaughlin? Because he is keen to walk down at these medium fast bowlers. That one a slower delivery. We just see that one was not called wide, and then the final ball of the over. Oh no, still that is the final ball of the over. Kept a little low, and then Woody with the throw at the stumps. Is that a decent option, Chris? Bring the keeper up.
I think if you bring the keeper up, it might put him back into his crease. He seemed very casual about going back in there, so maybe you can just bring him sort of, a little bit further forward, and it might be worth an option then. Still have him in that lull where he's confident to walk down the pitch. But obviously just give the keeper a little bit less distance to hit, because he was very casual.
Probably not where King intended it there. Looking to whip it to the onside, off the outside edge and down towards long off. Sam Jenkinson continuing. Got the all-important wicket of Joe Price last over. And here's Big Merv. That one kept quite low. What did that hit? Needed a shovel there, Mark McLaughlin.
We noticed when we had a look at the pitch earlier on, there's a bit of just a depression in the pitch just outside the off stump there, and a couple of other sort of varied depth patches.
That one again. So if you pitch it up, maybe it's not bouncing as much as you were saying, that depression.
It might be something the guys can take advantage of, and it'll be interesting to see sort of the slow ball options for West in the second innings, whether they can do the same.
It was on the stumps, would have been in trouble, and now a French cut. They rush through for the single. McLaughlin was struggling. Took a while to get going. Similar to Usain Bolt. Slower over the first 10-15 metres.
I'm not sure that Merv might have the other 85 metres in him, though.
Maybe it's like Usain's first 10 all the way. No, I think Usain's first 10 would have Mark McLaughlin covered. There's another single, so he's back on strike. Looking for a first grade 50.
He's certainly a very relaxed customer in these singles. He's glancing at fielders, seeing they've got the ball, but just taking his time.
And he's on his way.
Commentators curse strikes again.
How disappointing is that? He was just on his way to a half century. And Mark McLaughlin's innings comes to a close. 44 in the first match. And he's out for a total in the mid-30s. We'll get confirmation on that. Terrific bowling from Jenkinson. And a little edge on that. I thought he was inside his crease. Or was he just outside? Here we go. Did he get the boot back in time?
Again, very casual. Just looked like he was just all focused on trying to play that ball to the fence, and no real thoughts of protecting his own wicket or defending. So come back to bite him, but he's posted a impressive and good to watch mid-30s score, as you touched on.
So Cooper Lennox now. It's out for Western Suburbs. The wicket-keeper batsman. Scored 28 not out to get West's home against the Black Roses. 4 overs left after 4 overs left now. 4 for 130. So 10 and over gets them around the 170 mark. And Dan Foster has just changed ends. And he's on his way. Good start. He bowled 2 overs for 23 before this one. They'll want to tighten that one up if they're to restrict the Rosellas. And that one short and dispatched. In towards the pavilion, up and over square leg. Took 7 for 31 on the weekend, Dan Foster. No wickets this afternoon though. And he's been dispatched. Well struck by King. And he looks to do it again, this time over long on. Does plug when it bounces, and will just sit there nicely for upward to run around and keep it to 2.
Just joined down here on the boundary bend by West all-rounder Joe Price. Joe got off to a good start there, but just couldn't carry on with it.
Yeah, no, it just happens. Only just 2020 cricket. You just try and get as many as we can. I think it was the 13th over I got out in, so it was me and Merv decided it was time to get going, get a few on the board. So hopefully we can get some good spot here. I think yesterday they've been winning some pretty low scores, so we're at 130 now, 140. So we can keep getting a few more. 160 might be on the card, so that'll be a good result for us. It's pretty difficult with the wind. Just got to pick your ends, and I've no doubt that's what they'll do. They've got some good hitters with Nick, Jeff, and Sammy there as well. So it's going to be pretty. If they get going, it'll be pretty tough actually. So we just got to bowl in the right areas for that wind.
So you touched on Merv there. He's obviously a bit of a unique scenario in probably the Summer Bash, exclusively a lower grader in the longer forms, but he comes in and he's been in good form in both your first 2 games.
Yeah, he's been outstanding for us. You know, you just hits him so clean when he gets going. He's a big boy, so he doesn't even have to get all of them, and the grounds have been suiting him. We've been Harker and at number 1, so it's been pretty well. Been a pretty good move for us, so it's worked out well.
You see the skipper there, he looks like he's getting ready to get going. As you say, that 160 probably the mark there, and a solid total to defend.
Yeah, well, let's hope so. I mean, 160, but you know, you just got to bowl well in the end, and with that breeze and the short boundary, they'll just pick them off. So yeah, it's half done so far, but yeah, I think there's 3 to go, 2 to go now, so a few more in the bank will be nice.
Lovely, mate. All the best out in the field.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks to Joe Price and Chris McPherson on the boundary. 3 overs left now, 4 for 139. And as Joe was saying, a score up around 160, 170 is right on the cards, especially with at least a boundary and over, maybe a 6 and over, and you get a few singles, and King has picked out the bowler. And Jenkinson grabs his 2nd. West lose their 5th. He was just starting to really strike them nicely. Probably count himself a little unlucky. Good catch though.
Yeah, we made some early comments about Jenkinson coming on from that end, but it's almost proved a masterstroke. A couple of big wickets in the skipper, James King, and obviously Joe Price a couple of overs ago. So probably shows why Nick Foster's out there and we're in the commentary.
Exactly. Well taken. Quick reflexes. Tom Allen, the new batsman for West's the Rosellas. Fast bowler usually. score some late lower order runs. And he has got going straight away. One bounce.
So
Well fielded on the boundary. Dan upward again. He's done a mountain of work. He bowled well earlier in the innings. And now saving runs late on. And probably a couple of Jenkinson again. And this one skied up high. Settles under it and taken. So Cooper Lennox now a short stay at the wicket. He's on his way and Jenkinson's on fire. 2 wickets in the over. His 3rd wicket of the innings, Sam Jenkinson. And probably a couple of things at play. I was just going to say before that delivery, Chris, is that obviously the batsmen know that they are hitting with the wind with the slower man bowling to the shorter boundary. So all of a sudden they're probably in a more attacking mindset. And with the drop that he is getting, players are through their shots. The ball just drops on them and wickets are flowing.
That's exactly right, and he's varying his length just enough as the guys are moving their feet to try and take him on.
Come back off the keeper onto the stumps. So no issues for Allen.
So yeah, so if the guys are trying to come forward, he's sort of varying his length, and if they're holding back in their crease, then he's sort of putting it just short of their toes, so they're really in 2 minds as it drops down.
Allen will just get the one. Josh Emerton is out there now for Wests. Final ball of the 18th. Bunts it down to long on. And 18 overs down, 6 for 145, the Rosellas. And that is the highest score of any side now at #1 Sports Ground in this year's Summer Bash.
Not quite. Toronto posted 150 in the first game, but I'm sure they'll get there.
They did 6 for 150. So 6 runs now needed for West if they are to get past the Kookaburra. 6 for 150.
Yeah, I'd be quite surprised if they didn't get there, though. I'm pretty confident they'll get 6 runs at least off these next 2 overs unless something calamitous happens.
So Foster worked through mid-wicket by Emerton. So it just shows you how hard runs have been to come by in this NCC Summer Bash at #1 Sports Ground. One dropping low on Tom Allen. Maybe off the thigh pad. And they're going to have to be quick. Zanardi with the throw. Good running from the Rosellas.
I think a big part of West's ability to set this big total is we've seen other teams here who've either looked for the fence or to work the ball around and turn 1s into 2s. They've done both, which has been a massive advantage and obviously contributed hugely to them posting this larger total.
And Allen just leaving that one, and then they'll get through for a run. So a couple of wides there. 6 for 148. Moody with a bit of a fumble. Thinking about a second. Not going to happen for them. And Chris, the Waratahs have fallen in a bit of a heap again. 5 for 85 against the Whips.
Yeah, I don't know whether they've got the bowling to defend a total that small.
Tom Allen high on the bats, and Brody Cox couldn't reel it in on the full-length dive. It was acrobatic.
Well, you caught Tom Allen quite off guard with the short ball. We haven't really seen a genuine short ball in the previous matches here. I didn't know whether the pitch had the bounce in it to carry it. But it just sort of sat up a little bit slower on Tom, I think, and he was half through his shot.
So just one run needed, Chris, to go ahead of Toronto as the highest run scorers here at the #1 sports ground in the NCC Summer Bash, and they have done that now. Lovely stroke, straight down the ground. Couple of bounces, and Tom Allen picks up a boundary. A good end, a cherry on top of that over. 6 for 155. And 160 plus is now on the cards for Western Suburbs Rosellas.
Certainly strikes the ball well for a guy that's come in late in the innings batting at number 8, and yeah, hasn't looked like he's missed a beat since he's got to the crease.
And he'll have a big job with the ball as well. He's taken 5 wickets in the 2 days this year. Three for 71 against Wallsend on the weekend in Tom Allen. His best bowling performance of the season. So we'll see if he can bring that confidence. He's already brought it with his batting into his bowling as well. This one struck away behind square by Emerton. Handing the strike over to Allen. He's been hitting it well lately. And he looks to target that shorter boundary, and he's done just that. Over the fence as well, so that's a hefty blow.
Might be making a case for a move up the order.
I'm just having a look at his batting statistics this year. 36 runs in the 2-day competition with a top score of 34 actually, so shows you when he gets in he makes a big total. Has he been stumped? He has. Couldn't get the bat down in time, and the umpire's finger is straight up.
That's a second stumping and the 5th wicket for Jenkinson. Only the second bowler in the Summer Bash this season after Nathan Hudson to get a 5-fer. So obviously again, just using that wind to his advantage, getting that ball to drop down and enticing the player out of his crease, and wicketkeeper did his work.
Terrific stuff from Sam Jenkinson. Coming into this match, he only had 1 wicket this season, and now he's picked up 5. And we questioned it, didn't we? We questioned the decision to bowl the spinner from the end where the batsman are hitting with the wind. I'll tell you what, he's shown us up big time. It's bowled beautifully, Jenkinson. Oh, gee whiz. If there was a slip in there, he wasn't far away from a 6th wicket. And West get back for 2 runs. Just the one ball, I should say, to go in the 20 overs. Andrew Benbow on strike. Punches that one through the cover region. Strong throw, it's hit stumps. They won't go back for a second. And there will just be one more delivery for Sam Jenkinson. It's going to be a tough ask for the Seagulls though. Emerton looking for two, and they will come back for two. Benbow's going to have to be quick, and he is quick enough. And they will finish at 7 for 167. The Rosellas, a more than competitive total. You'd probably back them in from this point and call it a match-winning total based on what we've seen from the Seagulls in their previous T20 match. But West can't be thinking that. They've got to come out and be disciplined with the ball and in the field, because we've seen in this Seagulls bowling and fielding performance, if you let the opposition off the hook with your fielding, they can post a big total. We'll head down to the boundary. Chris, your thoughts on that innings?
This is what we've come to expect from West. They're an aggressive side. As I touched on before, they can certainly cover both facets of a T20 match. They can find the fence easily, as a number of their batsmen showed. They bat deep, and they're also quite good between the wickets in turning those ones into twos, as we saw in the last delivery. Stockton, they've got a few good experienced strikers in the likes of Jeff Kinninan and Nick Foster. They'll have to start well and hold wickets in hand to have any chance here. But as you touched on, it's going to come down to West not being complacent in the field. But you'd be a brave man to tip against West, I think, Jared.
Yeah, I think you're right, Chris. They probably were looking at one stage around that 190 to 200. So, yeah, Jenkinson's really brought them back in the game. But with their representative bowling lineup, I think they'll be looking to get the job done.
Well, thank you, Jared, and thank you, Chris. The Rosellas 7 for 167 at the innings break. We'll be back in about 15 minutes time. In the meantime, maybe you can flick on the cricket. Australia doing quite well, 8 for 109, the Sri Lankans at the moment. So chuck that on and we'll be back in 10.
G'day guys, Josh Emerson here from West Cricket Club. We're here on this Tuesday afternoon down at the picturesque Harker Oval for our Tuesday afternoon training session. looking to bounce back after a first grade loss to Wallsend last weekend. We'll move around the grounds and have a bit of a chat to a few of the boys and see what they've been up to. Alex Moore from England. He's been here from the start of the season and he's had a huge impact for our club so far. What have you enjoyed about the experience joining a great club like West so far?
Oh, it's been brilliant. First of all, the cricket standards step above what I'm used to at home. Obviously, the pitches are so nice to bat on. Bit difficult to bowl spin on, but it's fun. It's a learning curve, and the boys have really welcomed me. It's been really fun so far.
We have our debutant from last weekend, 15-year-old Jeremy Noonan, who took 4 wickets on debut in first grade at Wallsend Oval. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the experience making your first grade debut and playing with the West boys?
Yeah, it was great fun to come out with the first graders. Being able to come out there and play with them on the field is a good experience.
Who's your favourite teammate? And then we'll probably get on to the most annoying teammate.
I don't really have a most favourite. I mean, I love all the boys equally, but most annoying, I'd say. I don't know, probably Brad in the change room.
Is it Brad Aldous? Yeah. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more on that?
I don't know, it just could be a bit messy, I think.
Brad Aldous here for a little bit of a chit chat to see how we go. Good afternoon, Brad.
Good afternoon, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. I've heard a few rumours going around the traps that, I guess you fancy yourself on the circuit and you consider yourself one of the best-looking blokes in Newcastle cricket. Is there any truth to that?
Is Rushy playing this year?
Unsure, to be honest with you. But that's just worry about the current train of thought and the general consensus.
Yeah, general consensus is probably pretty accurate. Probably the best looking bloke at West.
And out of those 4 wickets, mate, is there any 1 or 2 that I guess you'll remember for a long time to come because they've got some quality players in their lineup?
Yeah, probably Nathan Price and Montgomery.
Have you been out this year?
No, I'm not dismissed once. James, if you're watching, due for a promotion.
We've got West Cricket Club great Mick McIntyre here with us this afternoon. Just have a bit of a chat to us about our upcoming Old Boys Day on Sunday the 10th of February, which also coincides with our triple header at home here at Harker Oval. Mick, how are you, mate?
Terrific, mate. Yes.
Mate, can you give us a bit of a recap and what the Old Boys Day means to West Cricket Club and what's going to happen on the day?
Oh, it's a very proud tradition with the club. Used to be formerly Lambton New Lambton, now called West. Goes back a long time. A lot of greats from the club. Hopefully we'll get a few of those back on that 10th of February. It'll start about 3 o'clock in the afternoon and it coincides with your fellas playing in the 2020.
End of February we have our double wicket competition, which is I understand it's a big tradition at the West Club. Do you want to give us a bit of an insight to the day, and I guess have you partnered up with anyone yet as well for this competition?
Are you still looking?
I'm available. Yeah, I'm available.
Okay, well there we go.
Yeah, deal.
We're partnered.
We in?
We're in?
Yeah, beautiful. Cheers.
Cheers. It's a good day. 24th February down here at Harker Oval. Old, young, there's beers, there's lots of beers, there's food. It's a good day out, so I'm looking forward to it. No, it should be a good day.
On behalf of the whole club, we'd like to thank our sponsors that go above and beyond every season to support us and get us boys on the park and I guess make us look the goods, and it saves us a lot of money. So thank you. Come on. Oop. Yeah. Get it, Tom. Hey. Right, Jed.
Yeah. 10 seconds.
Welcome back to number 1 Sports Ground, round 2 of the Newcastle City Council Summer Bash. West's Roselle is taking on Stockton Seagulls. Stockton and Northern Districts, to be precise. Good afternoon to you, Dave Redden, if you're watching. I know he's been in touch on Facebook as well. A great bowling performance from Sam Jenkinson. 5 wickets, and unfortunately was unable to restrict Western Suburbs to a smaller total. They posted 167, 168 to win for the men in maroon and white. And Jeff Ganninan out there with Kai Zanardi to open the batting, and Tom Allen to open the bowling for Western Suburbs. 3 wickets for him on the weekend in their defeat to Wallsend. He bowls it quick. And he pick up an early pole here. Ganninan content to leave the ball, which is wide outside the off stump, and called so. And we've got Chris and Jared, the Sportscastle boys, on the boundary. It's going to be a tough run chase for the men from Stockton.
Certainly is, but I'm looking forward to seeing how this season campaign are. On strike there, Jeff Ganninan, as he gets one away. See how he goes. He's one of the more experienced guys going around in the competition. Good to see him back on deck for the Seagulls this year.
Good start. 2 runs. Just 1 delivery bowl with the wide first ball. Zanardi on strike. He's got it away. And they're going to have to start quickly just to release the pressure. Otherwise that required run rate is just going to rise exponentially. Tom Allen continues. Ganninan happy just to get his eye in here as he rolled that one down to mid-off. Struck that one high and long over, long on, almost into the water tank. Well, Chris, there's an indication of just what Jeff Ganninan can do.
Yeah, he'll strike them as well as any of those West players that came before him. It's just a matter of how much of this innings he can also see out while he's striking the ball like that.
Allen continuing, and Ganninan straight into cover. Got a bit of music in there as well, just adding to the suspense. I'm loving that, boys.
Jared's a man of many talents. He's DJing down here as well, it looks like.
Sound like a bit of mysterious alien music.
Yeah, not as good as your sound effects from the other night, though.
That's right. I'm going to bring them back out again. It's Tom Allen to Ganninan. Skews off the inside of the blade. Went quickly too. Just forward of square. End of the over, and that is a perfect start for the Seagulls. They'll be happy to continue that. None for 10 off 1. And I think, Chris, it's important for West here. I know they've made a big total. It's very easy to go, well, all we've got to do is just bowl out these 20 overs and we'll get the job done. But you've got to stay focused, because all of a sudden, just relax, maybe be a little complacent, and Jeff Ganninan and Kai Zanardi could get Stockton off to a real flyer here.
That's 100% right. Obviously, as I've showed there wasn't too much wrong with the deliveries that came in that over, but the experience of Ganninan, and Zanardi can hit as well. they can quickly, with a few boundaries, bring that run rate required down from the north of 8 down to just under 7, and then you're only just looking at not much more than a singular ball, which is very doable.
And it's the confidence it gives the rest of the side as well. All of a sudden, the run rate's a little bit lower than what you're expecting to chase at the start with a really strong start in the power play, and everyone else just grows a couple of feet taller. So Brad Aldous is bowling a second over. He's been in super form this season. First delivery has Ginninan getting a bat down and rocking it into the onside.
Yeah, as you say, Ben, a couple of boundaries at the right point can really change the momentum. It changes the pressure. We saw that last night as the reverse happened, as Charlestown were miles in front, and then they got tied down for a little bit, and all of a sudden the pressure fell back on the batsmen, and they crumbled as night fell across the ground.
So Aldous continues to Ginninan. Tightens him up again. Now, Brad Aldous has been super in the shorter formats. 9 wickets. He was West's leading wicket taker in the Tom Locker Cup this season. And then in the 2 days, he's taken 4 wickets. It took 3 for 16 in their opening round win over the Black Roses. Only took 5 wickets West that night. He took 3 of them. Tightens up Ginninan again there, who has to scamper through for a single. Two wins in their last 3 for Stockton. 2-day competition, so they've got their tails up at the moment.
They certainly do. I think they're a little bit more suited to the longer form of the game with some of their season campaigners, but that's not to rule out what experience can do out here in the shorter game.
Aldous to Zanardi. Push it into the gap. We're talking the other night about how you can't lose 2 matches in this competition or your finals ambitions are all over. Well, that's the fate that Stockton don't want to happen this afternoon. They don't want to suffer that particular fate, otherwise their finals ambitions will be over. 2 losses makes it very difficult, and also with a poor net run rate. And after a big hefty loss in round 1 against Belmont, chased down the total inside 12 overs, they can't afford another slip up tonight. Aldous again in to Zanardi. Some serious bounce off the pitch, and oh, that wouldn't have tickled. Has it got him in the thigh pad? It was the throw from James King. Zanardi, he hasn't flinched at all. He's taken it well. We might have a look at where it got him. Here it is. They've got him in the buttocks. To be honest with you, Chris, I'm surprised you didn't react something like this.
I think the best bit about your sound effects is the delay. It's excellent, but yeah, he took it quite well. I would have been down on the ground calling for a stretcher, I think.
It is a wide down the leg side. The issue is the internet's got to load it up, and I'm sort of not sure when it's actually going to play. Takes a couple of extra seconds for the 4G to warm itself up. I am on Aldi Mobile, so it's not...
The magic of technology and high quality technology at that.
Exactly. There's a free plug for Aldi Mobile. Allen. And Ginninan, a slower ball. He spooned it up and into the gap at mid-wicket. I don't know how he's done it, but Ben Chu, what a job on the boundary to fling it back infield. And Andrew Benbow whipped in the throw. None for 19. That was the effort from and he's hit that one longer. That one could be on top of the shed. Oh.
Really taken out a spectator's dog.
I remember playing junior cricket on one occasion, and it was at Harry Edwards Oval there in New Lambton. And a player has struck a six up onto the road. The ball actually bounced on the road and then got caught up under a car that was driving. That was one of the more interesting sixes which hit something. I'm sure you two have got a couple of stories. That one whipped neatly off the pads by Gannon, and what a start from him.
I do know of one player who's wandering around currently in first grade. When he's played at Charlestown Oval a couple of times, he's up there on the highway. He's found some interesting targets, including finding one over into the Caltex across the road. I would name who he is, but I think the ego's already big enough on a certain individual.
It's a dangerous ground, that one at Charlestown. You get a big swing of the blade, and Gannon works that one behind square, just flicked the full toss from Tom Allen. And Stockton are surging at the moment.
Looks like those last couple of deliveries from Tom Allen, he's just rolled the fingers over him, and Jeff Ganninen's read it like an absolute book and dispatched them to different points of the ground.
He's got his measure at the moment, Ganninen. Can't get it past mid-off, it's hit the stumps. Stenardi not keen to take on the single. One ball left in the third over. Here's the throw. Bang, straight in the middle peg. That one went underground. It's that little dip, isn't it? Probably near the crease. Is that where the depression is in the pitch?
Yeah, it's probably about between, I'd say, 4 and 10 inches outside off stump, and again 4 and 10 inches from the crease out. So it's a perfect landing spot for a lot of the spinners or a wider Yorker. That it's just not going to get up, and it's going to be really difficult to hit if you can get it to land in that spot. The unfortunate thing for the pace bowlers is if they get it a few inches either way, it's going to be right in the zone for Jeff Gannon.
We just saw him smack that one up and over the boundary over long on. It's the mystery music, it's back again. Is Stockton going to win? Tell you what, at the start of the innings, you would have got a high price. Predicting Stockton to win this one. West would have been close to $1.30, I'd say. Favourites.
Yeah, based on what we've seen here in the last 2 years, I would have thought they would have been $1.30. We might have had a line out of the ground for people wanting to back them with their deeds of their house.
At the moment, not quite going the Rosella's way. Aldous. He's got Gannon on the hop. Almost stumbled and fell, but got through for the single. West really trying to lift the intensity in the field. A wicket is a requirement. Preferably Jeff Gannon. But it's Kaizenardi on strike to Aldous. Picked up 3 wickets in West's first T20 match.
Was right at this stage at about the same scoreline that Stockton got their first breakthrough. West have to be really careful here, because if they don't take a breakthrough here and can't halt the momentum in this power play, they could find Stockton well in front of the 8 ball.
Zanardi was looking for the single. Gannon said no, and the right decision in the end. Someone told a funny one in the grandstand, did they? Did you boys hear that?
I'm not sure who it is, but Merv McLaughlin's come off the field, and he seems to be the centre of the comedy arena.
It's Aldous. And Zanardi got a thick outside edge onto that one, and it will trickle speed away to the boundary.
Might be the case if West's batting first, that he's taken advantage of having a young 12th man and put his hand up and said, I'll have a spell. I'm not going to be used as a bowler, so there's no need for me to be running around out in the field. I've done enough quick work between the stumps.
Who's gone out there for Big Merv? Do we know who his replacement is? Is it young Noonan, who bowled so well on the weekend?
I think it's Borrow. I'm just trying to get a confirmation of that.
It is the number 18. It's the 12th man. Well, Andrew Benbow was technically the 12th man. He was elevated into the first 11. So effectively the 13th man is out there now for Wests. And Gannon has fired it straight at him. Little spin and throw. It was fired off the blade of Jeff Gannon. Joe Price into bowl for West, the captain. Tighten things up, and he's done that right then and there. He's taken the most wickets for Wests in the 2 days this year. 13 wickets and 3 in the Tom Lockett Cup. He gets this one away.
So just got confirmation it's Joel Burrow in the 18 shirt, the 13th man.
Joel Burrow, that's a wide. So now Price can't get right on the spot. Swung away by getting in it, down the ground. And it's over for another 6. What a start this is from Jeff Gannon. And he is single-handedly pulling Stockton back into this contest. And now up and over mid-off, if you don't mind, for a boundary.
He's loving those straight boundaries, using a little bit of that breeze that's behind him and just plugging them down there with a pretty consistent stroke.
He's just taking the pressure off the men to come as well, isn't he, in this power play. So 1 over left in it after this ball. Price in again, Gannon. This is over the fence again. Wow, Jeff Gannon. A terrific over for Stockton. They're flying at the moment, the Seagulls.
As we talked about, this start's already brought that run rate down from where it would have been at 8.5, almost an over, down to about 7.5. So if he can continue this way to finish off the power play with another couple of boundaries, even if they're along the ground, it'll certainly put them in pole position. And as you say, that price about Stockton that would have been there at the start of the game certainly wouldn't be there now.
And Kaizenati is just doing everything he's required to do right now, just nudging singles around, letting Jeff Ganninan have most of the strike, and putting the pressure back on Wests here.
And most importantly, enjoying the show.
Exactly. So, James King into the attack for Wests. Just the 1 wicket for him in the 2 days this year. Flicked away by Zanardi. Thumped away by Ganninan. Will only be the 1 though. Joel Burrow cleaning up the scraps, the substitute fielder. He bowled 2 overs, took 1 for 13 against the Black Roses, James King. And the throw is a good one, and Kaizenati is on his way. Maybe that is the difference between the 2 sides. Brad Aldous with the throw, which cannons into the stumps. And after a solid innings, Kaizenati is trudging off the ground at 1 for 57. And that is what Stockton didn't do. When they had to, they didn't hit the stumps in the field. And on the first opportunity, Wests take it. And maybe that could be the contrast between the sides, Chris McPherson.
It certainly would, as we're joined by that mystical, magical music again. I don't know where that's coming from. Yeah, we saw Stockton bomb a couple of early chances at run-outs when batsmen then went on to get a few more key runs and boundaries. So, look, at the end of the day, you've got to take your opportunities, especially when you've got a big total to attack. Stockton would be hoping for a bit more of a luck with the bounce of the ball.
Very calmly taken, and Jeff Ganninan, it was an entertaining knock. He is gone, and I think that could be, just trying to work out who has taken it, get the number plate. Thought it may have been the substitute fielder, it wasn't. And Jeff Ganninan shaking his head, visibly disappointed. And Stockton lose 2 wickets in the same over.
Exactly what the doctor ordered in the last over of the power play for West. The captain made the aggressive decision to bring himself on to bowl, and it's paid dividends. Great fielding initially by Aldous to get that run out, and then the ball just got the better of Jeff Ganninan there as he continued to try to strike.
The question is, I know Jeff Ganninan was walking off shaking his head there. They were going at a decent click. Was it a good decision for him to take on the longest boundary on the field? You know, you think about that mid-wicket area. That's probably the longest region to hit a maximum.
Yeah, I think if you have a look at the ball again, he might have just mishit it through that range. He might have actually been trying to take advantage of that big gap between the fielder at backward square leg and then obviously that fielder at mid-wicket, and just got a little bit further down on the bat, and then it carried all the way out there, giving you some sort of idea of how well he was hitting them, that a miss-hit's carried all the way to the fence.
Well, credit to Alex Moore out there at mid-wicket. He took the catch. Young man. This is split the field. It's gone within a few metres of the boundary. Thrown in by Ben Chu. And that brings an end to the 6th over. A really good start for Stockton after the power play, 2 for 59. They're ahead of the run rate, but Jeff Ganninan is in the sheds, and that is a big wicket for the Rosellas.
Yeah, the loss of the 2 wickets there at the end of the power play, clearly not ideal. As you say, they're in front of West. West were 2 for 44 at the same point. But the big question mark is going to be over the depth of the Stockton Seagulls batting lineup. We saw West batted a long way down with batsmen coming in at sort of a 7 and 8 who could clearly still strike the ball very well. So it's just going to be a matter of how deep Stockton can bat and how these batsmen out there now can settle in to follow Jeff Kinnan's lead.
And Stockton all of a sudden have lost their 3rd wicket. They are falling apart at the moment. And on his way is Dan Upwood. He bowled so well this afternoon. Unfortunately, couldn't do the same with the bat.
Yeah, not what they'd be looking for here. They've been quite susceptible to sort of 4 and 5 wicket collapses at different stages of the year, both in their middle and lower order. So hopefully that's not going to be the case, and hopefully the experience of Nick Foster going out there now can right the ship and settle them down and keep them right in this match so that we can come down to a entertaining finish.
Nick Foster, the captain. That's a wide first up from Joe Price. I've just seen a message from Rachel Moore commenting on Facebook. She saw her boy Alex Moore take that terrific catch to dismiss Jeff Ganninan. You have to be proud of that. Rachel, terrific to have her watching from the UK in the morning. Over in the UK. Beautiful afternoon, Rachel, here in Newcastle. If you are watching from an obscure part of the globe, let us know on Facebook. We'll stream on Bar TV Sports. This one short and just hit straight to mid-wicket. Easy as you like, that catch for James King. And it just is falling apart at the seams here for the Seagulls after such a promising start. Four for 61. Sam Jenkinson is greeted by that mysterious music on his way to the wicket. Took a 5-for with the ball, and he backed it up with some runs with the bat, and he will need them, otherwise it's all over for Stockton. It starts with a single. Foster, the captain, he's got an important role to play. Second leading run scorer for Stockton in the 2 days this year. Couldn't get his blade on the end of that one. 168 runs. Highest score of 75 in the 2-day competition. Keith Moody, the only Stockton player to pass 50 in a limited overs format this year. That's well played by Foster for a couple. We may see him shortly, Keith Moody. That's the end of 7 overs, 4 for 64. And the run rate is still at 8 and over, Chris, so they shouldn't get too concerned, the Seagulls.
Well, there's no reason to panic right now. If they do go to panic stations and lose another wicket or two, then yeah, it's curtains pretty much. So the key is obviously just to get this partnership settled in and try and bat through for a few overs. Don't lose too many wickets. Just play the smart strokes, take some singles and twos when they're on. If there's a bad ball comes, then hit it, but don't be looking to clear the fence. eight's not that difficult to get to, and even if they score 6 and over for the next few, it's not going to get outrageously out of hand for them.
So change in the bowling for West, and it will be Alex Moore. His mum Rachel watching from the UK.
Yeah, Ben, just joined down here by Jeff Ganninan. How'd you find that, mate? It was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, not too bad for me. Second hit back, enjoyed playing the 2020 stuff, so it's good.
Yeah, obviously added a lot of entertainment. You had a few people ducking for cover, but you've kept your team in the game, mate.
Yeah, good starts. Pretty crucial chasing sort of totals. Hopefully Nick and Jen can work around now and get us home.
So you're backing the boys home, mate, from here?
Yeah, of course. Always back them in.
Yeah, well, thanks for your time, mate. Well batted.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jared, and thank you to Jeff Ganninan as well. Thanks for entertaining us as well. Albus with the fielding at long on. Couple of wickets in the one-day competition for Alex Moore. And their second leading wicket taker in the two-day competition this year with 7 wickets. Spin bowler. He comes again, a reverse sweep attempted by Foster.
There's not many that would call Nick Foster a textbook batsman, that's for sure.
Well, just having a look at the replay, the reverse sweep came off the toe end of the bat. Happy just to roll it down the ground.
A few times I've seen Nick bat over the years. I'm certainly a batsman. He's certainly a batsman, sorry, that lives by the adage, the ends justify the means, and they all count the same. So
They don't draw pictures in the scorebook. That's Josh Sims' favourite quote.
I have heard Josh quote that one a couple of times over the previous games.
I think he uses at least once a game. So I thought I might bring it out again. He's unfortunately not with us this afternoon. A late scratching. We've had a couple of late scratchings from these two sides. So also occurred here in the commentary box. He'll be back on Tuesday for round 3 of the Summer Bash. Tuesday we've got the Magpies from Charlestown and the Kookaburras from Toronto. That shapes as a fascinating tussle. But right now it's Pool B, and it's the Seagulls who are trying to chase down 168 runs to win. And they started nicely. They've lost 4 wickets very quickly. Trying just to see the ship at the moment, these two. Foster saw the ball maybe come out of the back of the hand or just roll his fingers around it. James King. There for the Stockton captain. Captain to captain at the moment. Really pitching that one up. Foster goes straight. They're looking for 2. Jenkinson was keen on it. Foster not so. Jenkinson on strike, took 5 for 28 with the ball. Well played away off the pads. Just having a look at his career stats. That's actually his best ever bowling figures.
I was about to say, if he could steer him here with a bat all the way home, it'd be an absolute career day. I hadn't even looked at the stats, but yeah, I'd say if he could do that, that'd be one to tell the grandkids.
Exactly. Highest score of 170 across his batting career. That could include juniors as well. And that one very neatly played by Foster. That's the end of 9 overs, 4 for 75.
I think Nick Foster will just be looking to get to the 12 to 15 over mark, and if they're still 4 out, I think they're a big chance of attacking it late.
The boys in the audio department are playing this mysterious music. I don't know what it is or where they're getting it from, but I'd like to know what the theme's called. Is Alex Moore continuing? And he's just spooned it straight to the captain. And Sam Jenkinson couldn't do with the bat what he did with the ball. And that could be all for the Seagulls this afternoon. 5 wickets down for 75. It's becoming more and more a mission impossible.
The thing is, like Jared talked about, they just really need to stop really chasing so hard those big aggressive lofted shots and just try and build a bit of a partnership. I know it's a little easier said than done, but if they can get to that later stage of the game, they're well on target to be at that 12th over and be in front of the halfway point like we've talked about a number of times. So in terms of runs, they're not in panic stations, so it seems surprising that they're trying to play such aggressive strokes so consistently when they're not quite settled in.
Well, confidence boosting wicket for young Alex Moore. Bowled so well this year in the 2-day competition. As his first wicket of the afternoon, he almost had another one right then and there. Away by Foster with a reverse sweep again, and good for Alex Moore because he got whacked around a bit against the Black Roses. 4 overs, none for 39. So good fight back for him in this second match of the series.
He looks like the sort of bowler that doesn't mind attacking a little bit. He'll give it a bit of a flight just in the hope of getting some wickets. So those bowlers tend to be the ones that are taken advantage of some days if they're not quite hitting the spot, and that's the gamble they take. He's not that Nathan Lyon style of spinner who's going to try and tie down and bowl darts. He's going to give it a bit of flight and take some chances.
And just the 1 ball remaining in this over, and Dave Redney's quickly got in touch. Sam Jenkinson, who was just out, his top score in first grade, 170, so that highest score was in first grade. And Nick Foster's top score, 99. And I have a feeling, I'm just having a quick scan, his highest score this year, Nick Foster, in the 1 day is 36. And in the 2-day competition, Nick Foster, his top score is 75. So
I'd love to know if Dave Redden knows that 99, knowing Nick. I wouldn't be surprised if he's gone to a dismissal Shane Warne-esque style, trying to bring it up with a maximum.
Well, that would be awful, wouldn't it? Oh, you don't wish that on your worst enemy. 99. And you don't want to finish your career as that being your top score. I will tell you when it is. When it was, I should say.
I think Shane Warne holds some sort of record as the most ever test runs not to score a century, with his high score being 99 in test cricket.
Yep, you're spot on. Foster gets this one out towards mid-wicket for a single.
Tell you what though, Dave Redden's added every game we've had so far with some contributions from the distance. Bar TV might need to get him on the payroll as a stats man.
I think that's a fair point. Very fair point, Chris. I'm just checking. That 99 came last season for Nick Foster. His highest score in his career. I don't know if he's going to break the 100 drought this afternoon, though. Probably hasn't got enough runs to play with. So here is Aldous. Switched ends. Gets that one end of the pitch. Just worked away by Lucas Sargent. Three balls left in the 11th.
It's the first time now since the first over that they have fallen behind on the comparative scores, so they'll just need to be aware of that. That required run rate starting to creep up the 9. They won't want to see it in double figures.
West just applying the pressure now. And Foster decides he's got to go. And he just chipped it down towards long off. Just the single. Pitches up and whipped away straight to the captain, James King. And Lucas Sargent is gone and 6 wickets down for Stockton now. Just really couldn't roll the wrists on that one and flicked it straight to the one man in the infield on the onside. They do have a short, fine leg, but really the one man in that kind of region. Here it was again. Tried to just free up the arms and backed away a touch. Just scooped it up. So this is Ben Whitty, the wicketkeeper. The previous number 2 to get out was Keith Moody. Talking about before how he's been their top run scorer in the 2 days this year. The other number 2 is the wicketkeeper Whitty, and he gets off the mark first ball. And that is the end of the 11th over. I've just got a quick question for you, Chris. Is it mission possible or mission impossible for the Seagulls?
I love it. We're needing nearly 10 and over, just shy of 4 wickets in hand. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's highly improbable. It would require a very big knock from the skipper here, and maybe chasing after and falling just short of his highest ever score to do so, and a fair bit of harvesting the strike as he partners with the tail enders now.
So you're going mission improbable. I love it.
Yeah, I love sitting on a fence.
Well, you're very close to a fence down there on the boundary. Maybe you could just move the chair and sit back on it. There's Whitty with the edge. Tom Allen speeding after it. They really have to come back for 2 at this point, and the pressure on the throw is enough to force it wide of wicketkeeper Lennox, and they get back easily. Just going to mention the fall of wickets has been rapid for Stockton. They were none for 57 as Whitty plays that one nicely, but can't beat West skipper. They were 1 for 57 and then 4 for 61. None for 57, I should say, and then 4 for 61. Fell apart quickly for Stockton. They're pushing the single. Whitty wanting a second. And Foster really had overrun. And the score at the other ground, Waratahs and the Whips. The Waratahs all out for 109, the Whips 3 for 95. So it looks like they're going to make it 2 from 2, and they're going to have a pretty healthy run rate. Foster through cover now. He's got some work to do. Gee, has some serious pace. Ben Chu, lightning across the outfield. Can we have a look at that? We might have to wait till the end of the over because Alex Moore is quick through his spell, but Ben Chu, look at this. Caught up with the ball rapidly. I know the ball was slowing.
He's been one of the quickest across the outfield, Ben, too, so far. So it's been very impressive, and that's across all the games we've had here so far at number 1. He covers the ground really well.
Final ball of the 12. Calculation is double it after 12 and they get home, Stockton, but 6 wickets is the real issue for them. And Foster again with the reverse. Is that a reverse ramp? Is that with the other side of the blade? I know in hockey if you hit the ball with the other side of the hockey stick, it's actually a free hit to the other team.
I'm just joined actually by the Stockton opener down here, Kai Zanardi. He might be able to tell us what that non-textbook shot from the skipper might be called.
Nick's, that's just a Nick special, mate. Yeah, he loves that. Practices in training every Thursday when he's there.
Yeah, he's not the most conventional of batsmen, Nick Foster, is he?
No, he's not, mate, but what he does works. And I think if he's out there for the next couple of overs, we've got a big chance of going a long way to winning.
Well, they say if you double the score from here, normally that's the mark at 12 overs. You're at 86. You need 82 to win at a run rate of about 10 and over. You backing your boys in from here?
Well, we should win then, shouldn't we? I think with that short boundary, if you can target 15, 2-3 boundaries off that and over and run hard up the other end, you're always a chance as long as you take it deep into the innings.
I like the confidence here, and the boys are working really well, turning these questionable singles into singles and ones into twos. So a bit of that and some boundaries from Nick, and should be right in this late in the game.
Yeah, hopefully, mate. That's the plan anyway.
And how's the light going to play as these shadows go across the pitch, do you think? We've seen teams slow down a little bit as that's happened. The ball's a little bit harder to pick up.
I'd say it probably will, but as long as you watch the ball hard, I don't think it really affects it too much, but you never know.
Yeah, well, you got the season campaigner and the skipper out there, so hopefully he can steer it home from here.
Hopefully, mate. Cheers.
Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, Kai, and thanks to Chris. Maybe we should get him part of the commentary team. He's entertaining, isn't he? Spare seat next to me. So Aldous continuing. And Whitty, he's looked solid since he's come out. Ben Whitty, wicket-keeper batsman. A couple of not outs for him this year in the 2 days. Top score of 21. Brad Aldous in his final over, 3 for 16 he took in the first match. Again, he's been on the money this afternoon. He's into his 4th. His figures after 3, 1 for 12. Just going at 4 and over. Joe Price has picked up a couple of wickets and copped some stickers. Has Tom Allen. Dropped that one short, and Whitty has landed that one in front of Ben Chu. Out on the fence at square leg. So 1 ball left for Brad Aldous. He's been the go-to man for Wests in the shorter format. He's proving that again this afternoon. There's a slower ball. Foster picks out Chu. 13 overs completed and 6 wickets down for 91, and that run rate is now at 11 and over. Great afternoon for watching cricket. The crowd enjoying this spectacle this afternoon. whether you're in your car or sitting in the grandstand. Isn't that great? In a car, under the tree, on the hill here at number 1.
Said on the coverage earlier in the week and last week, where else would you rather be? Midweek evening, it's mid-20s, a nice breeze blowing, the sun's out, and some quality attacking cricket on display.
Here are the wickets. Now, this was the wicket that changed everything. You just saw Kaizenati. He was run out, a direct hit. Just turned the momentum. And then all of a sudden they lost 4 for 4, did Stockton. None for 57 to 4 for 61. Alex Moore. And Foster tries to take him on. Straight to Aldous. The young man Moore, 1 for 12 off his 3 coming into this over. So he's been tight as well. Woody again. Nudges it down to long on. So once again, Chris, we asked the question, what does Stockton do here? Are they going big? Are they just going to throw the blade and try and win this match? Or do they just try and here, well, I think Nick Foster answered the question for me as he stumped. Neat work by Cooper Lennox and terrific bowling by Alex Moore. His second wicket, took a great catch out on the boundary to dismiss Jeff Ganninan, and now has a couple of poles for himself. And Nick Foster, the captain, is out for the Seagulls, and 7 wickets down for them.
Yeah, I think the skipper realised there that noodling around for ones wasn't quite going to do the trick. They were starting to creep up to needing almost 12 and over. Sits at just 1 run short of 2 runs of ball required from here, so decided to try and turn the momentum like we talked about earlier. One big strike clearing that fence could have done that. Unfortunately for him, he just misread the flight of the ball and was beaten, and some magic work behind the stumps behind Lennox sees him walking back to the pavilion.
Alex Moore continues. Just 1 ball left now in his spell. And the final ball of that 14th over, Alex Moore finishes his spell, 4 overs, completed, 2 wickets for him. And Matt Whitty and Ben Whitty have a bit of work to do ahead of them now. So what do you think, Chris? Is the option here for Stockton just swing the axe, or is it let's just try and conserve our run rate? Because to be honest, they can't afford to lose this one tonight, and I don't know if the run rate's going to help them.
Well, that's the thing. If they lose tonight, it's all done and dusted for sure. So they've really got to go after this because, as you say, if they lose tonight, they've still got 3 games to play, must win. Their run rate's already not in a great spot, so I don't think they're going to be too concerned about that run rate or percentage. So it's going to have to be time to find their way to clear the white painted line as it is here, not the rope.
First ball of the 15th. Matt Whitty on strike and gets himself going the first ball of the 15th. And 73 runs still required, just over 12 runs per over needed. James King right on the money there. It's Cooper Lennox who ensured that Nick Foster was on his way last over with a neat piece of glove work. Stump Stockton skipper. Oh, throw in there. Almost took out bowler and batsman. Josh Emerton there, just in the gully. Inside edge. And the substitute fielder for West, Joel Burrow, couldn't grab it cleanly.
Say Joel Burrow's probably got a bit more action than he bargained for when he's named as 13th man earlier in the week.
Definitely, of course, with Andrew Benbow forced into the side, he was originally 12th man. That's well worked. Neatly worked there by Ben Whitty. May have taken Andrew Benbow there a little by surprise.
Now the match is all over at Waratah Oval. Marcus Hainsworth putting on a clinic for the second week in a row. 79 off 37 rocks to steer the Whips home. 4 for 110 off 12.3 overs.
And how well are they playing at the moment? They will be on show here at Number One Sports Ground, I'm pretty certain, next week, because we haven't seen them yet. They're on next Wednesday the 30th against the Black Roses. As we come to the end of the 15th, 7 for 99 the Gulls.
That'll be a cracker next Wednesday night. The Black Roses, even without their 2 Indian marquees or imports, were quite strong here on Tuesday night. So I'll be looking forward to seeing that one and seeing those two sides go head-to-head. Obviously, you'd expect that Cardiff will have some decisions to make around whether or not they bring back in Sharma and Bakshi. Do you change a winning formula, or do you have to bring those two players as their leading run scorers back in?
It's a real tough one. A real tough one. And the way they won as well and the way they batted could be an interesting decision. All comes down to the team chemistry, doesn't it?
Certainly does, which is obviously the issue at hand from what we hear, so that could be very interesting. But as you touched on, the fielding for them was magnificent. You know, we talked about it a little bit earlier, a couple of direct hit run-outs and just really meticulous field placings from their captain, Nick Watkins. And even his work as a substitute wicketkeeper behind the stumps was absolutely brilliant.
So Aaron Wivell now bowling for Wests, his first over this evening. And as much as we say cricket is an individual sport effectively played in that team environment, you know, when you're batting and bowling, that was a very much team performance from Cardiff in the field. Everyone just working together, pulling their own weight, and couple of direct hits, terrific catching, and they got the job done against the Lions, who are a strong side in any format of Newcastle cricket. Whitty now, a little bit of a slip. It does get a bit slippery in the square there. It was King, the captain. Straight on his backside. You won't want to see the replay of this. Here we go. Tried to pick it up quickly. Whoa, the right boot just slipping from under him. Back live now.
That's a little bit of that last night too with Ben Balcombe when he was batting. The diagnosis was those players wearing half spikes instead of full spikes. When they hit that pitch square, really struggling for traction.
And was there an edge? Yes, there was. Smart work from Cooper Lennox again with the gloves. He plucked that one. And the Seagulls' end is near now. 8 down for 101. And I just heard someone talking about the spikes. They're still chatting about James King going buttocks to pitch. Is that a cow? Did you think that was a cow, Chris?
I'm not sure what it was. There's some interesting things going on in the background.
Now, that is not me playing sound effects. That's the audio voice. They're having a real bit of fun.
A little bit bored with the game. They're not impressed by what they're seeing out here, so they're starting to add some sound effects. The one I'm disappointed we haven't heard tonight is the your cash register fines one. There's been a few misfields that would have been nice and appropriate for.
Oh, so I'm in trouble, am I?
Oh, I don't know about that. I just enjoyed it the other night.
We might bring it out before the end of play tonight. I don't mind a good cash register sound effect.
as a player who's always played for the social events off the pitch, I mean, most sports I've been involved in, I'm always about the fines and making sure the kiddies build up for end of season, so it's one of my favourites.
Well, 16 overs down, 8 for 101. And just look at that picture. That is, wow. That's Newcastle for you. It's a postcard. And we've got the nice music to go with it as well. Peaceful afternoon. The wind has dropped. It was quite a strong southerly when we started play at 5 o'clock local time. It's dropped off. Blue sky all around. The fig trees. Doesn't get much better. Could be doing a documentary.
David Attenborough, look out.
Here we go. Back to the cricket. Pulled away by Ben Whitty. Just saw his brother depart a couple of moments ago. Ben Chu's had some work to do on the boundary. Daniel Foster on strike with the blade now. Bit nonchalant in his running there. Andrew Benbow with the ball. So originally he was expected to be 12th man, and now he's bowling. Don't think he expected that when he woke up this morning. So Whitty on strike, Benbow in. Couldn't quite get the blade to the ball.
Daniel Foster just napping a little bit there at the non-striker's end. Whitty going for the quick single, then realised that his partner had his back to him.
Not good enough from Dan Foster.
There it is.
Is that a fine? Not backing up. That counts a fine, doesn't it? You're playing some pretty high-level cricket when that's a fine, I must say, Chris, as they come back for a couple. If you were fining not backing up, I think some kiddies would get quite rich.
Yeah, some of the less athletic players that I've played with never back up, so yeah, they could have been quite out of pocket. They could just put paychecks into the fines tin, I think.
So Benbow to Whitty. Very solid young player is Ben Whitty. While wickets have fallen around him, he stood tall.
We've got a handful of good young players here, Stockton, so it seems to have been the key over recent years that they just can't seem to retain them over a number of years. They had young spinner James Beattie that left them for Wallsend this year. They had the Moxie brothers. I mean, Jared's getting a little bit on now, but Josh is still in his late 20s, and they've gone up to Maitland, so just a matter of retaining some of these young players so they can make their way back up the table in all forms of the cricket.
And that's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult for some clubs to keep those quality players.
Yeah, I think attracting players might be a bit difficult for them too, just a little bit of added travel factor, you know, going overseas, so to speak, for the training sessions and those sorts of things. Playing first grade cricket, expected to train twice a week and then play. I mean, it's a beautiful ground, Lynn Oval, but it is a bit of a trek for a lot of people.
Daniel Foster, who bowled so well on the weekend. They were almost reverse outrighted, by the way, by Newcastle City, Stockton on the weekend, but Daniel Foster took 7 for 31. This one just scooped up. It will fall safe. Just behind square.
That required run rate just creeping up into the 20s now. I think that's absolute curtains. Starting to get to the point that's almost a mathematical impossibility as it ticks up rapidly.
A bit of a misfield from Aldous. Aaron Whipple continuing. To Whitty. A little bit late on it, decided to leave it. These two sides have met once this season, and it was West who got the win in round 5 of the Tom Locker Cup. Almost the legs there. Whitty.
Cooper Lennox with some absolute lightning reflexes behind the stumps there. He's only young, but looks very handy as a wicketkeeper of the future going forward.
It's been terrific. Good stumping. Catches as well.
I'm chatting to a couple of West guys before the game too. They also rate him as a batsman, so there was talk when Joe Price was running late that he may have been an opening option, so certainly a player to watch developing over the years if West can keep him around over there at Harker Oval.
Definitely. As we see Andrew Benbow is going to come on and bowl the penultimate over of this innings. And just on Ben Whitty, he doesn't mind batting well against Western Suburbs. He made 31 against them in that round 5 Tom Locker Cup match. Keith Moody made 59. And again here, so loves taking on the Rosellas with the blade.
Yeah, a lot of his shot selection doesn't seem too out of place. He's had a couple of rash ones here and there, but I think as a player, if he continues to work on some of those strokes, they look quite good. Looks like he's got a good foundation and could develop for Stockton.
This one just sliced out behind point. Josh Emerton is out there with the long throw straight into the gloves of Lennox. So just the 1 wicket required with less than 2 overs to go here. They're not giving it away though at the moment, Stockton. Woody solid in defence.
They're only 8 out, Ben. Number 9's padded up to come in next, mate.
Better get the scoreboard changed over there. Maybe the boys do want to go home early. Just knock it up to 9.
Yeah, young Brody Cox is padded up, got the helmet on, ready to come in if required.
So only need 6 a ball from here, nothing too big of an ask. Get home with an extra run to spare.
Here we go, Dan Foster, go long. No, he's just going to poke it all the way down to long off.
Playing for red ink by the look of it.
Boost to the average.
That's when that individual aspect of cricket comes out when you see blokes playing for red ink. Is that you talking about getting 0 off 40 balls the other day?
Oh, it was. It was. I don't know if that was helping the average, but it was an interesting knock, to say the least.
I can genuinely say across probably the 8 to 10 seasons of cricket that I've played on and off, I don't think I've ever faced 40 balls in an innings. I have, however, got plenty of those zeros.
Yeah, I think a lot of us have, Chris. The old quacker.
As Jared can probably reliably confirm, I was one of those players that came in as a specialist fine leg to fine leg fieldsman who batted 10 or 11 and didn't bowl.
You don't want that. You don't want that, do you?
It's just all about the culture.
At least field at fine leg when you're when you're the opening bowler or that kind of thing. As Whitty punches it, attempts to punch it through cover, and Ben Chew, he's been everywhere, diving left and right. Now Aaron Wivel bowling at the moment took 2 for 20 against Stockton in round 5 of that Tom Locker Cup match. Have a look at the bounce on that. Get the scoop out. This afternoon, 1 for 6 off 2.2. Foster out towards deep mid-wicket. So Aaron Wivel, can he better that bowling performance against Stockton that he produced in round 5 of the Tom Locker Cup? He just needs a wicket here. He's not going to get it.
That scoreboard's really showing a runs per over requirement that's beyond the mathematical possibilities, isn't it? 100 runs per over.
Gee, the boys are having a lot of fun now, aren't they? And there he goes, Whitty. 1 bounce. Tracking it down is James King. what's this, 294 runs per over. This is getting ridiculous now. Final ball, Wivel to Foster. It was a full bunger. Alex Moore grab it. And that will be that. The final match in round 2 of the Newcastle City Council Summer Bash, and it is Western Suburbs Rosellas who make it 2 wins from 2. The Seagulls will stay bottom of Pool B in 6th place, and the Rosellas 2 wins from 2, a really important win for them against Stockton. Just going over those matches next week, as I'll get them up here. I might just update you on the ladder in this Summer Bash. So this is Pool B. The Rosellas now with 2 wins from 2, so they're on 4 points, top of the table. The Whips as well, they probably will be top of the table when it is updated because of that better percentage. So the Whips and the Rosellas top. Black Rose is 3rd on 2 points. The Lions on 2. Waratahs and Seagulls 5th and 6th on no points. And in Pool A, the Pumas and the Kookaburras leading the way 2 from 2. The Tigers 2 points in 3rd. And then the Magpies, Sea Dragons and Sabres rounding out the 6 in Pool A. Next week on Bar TV Sports, on Tuesday it's the Magpies and the Kookaburras from 5 p.m. On Wednesday, the Whips and the Black Roses, that one from 5 as well. And then same time Thursday, the Sabres and the Sea Dragons. The other matches, 5 p.m. Waratah Oval, Waratahs and the Rosellas next Tuesday, and the Pumas and the Tigers next Wednesday at Passmore Oval. The Lions take on the Gulls at Harker Oval next Thursday. Chris McPherson and Jared Logan down on the boundary. Thanks for your company tonight. I'm just checking if you're going to grab anyone for a quick chat before we say au revoir this evening.
Might just see if we can grab Merv McLaughlin, the season campaigner. Give me 1 sec.
He's been resting the feet in this bowling performance from West. He didn't take part. Joel Burrow was out there, the 13th man. And he is going to have a chat to Chris McPherson. We'll head down there now.
Yeah, we're joined by Merv McLaughlin. Merv, you're almost a marquee player for this competition this year.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's good just to be able to help the boys out and increase the average age of the team.
Looks like you've been having a good time out there. A couple of good scores in the first 2 games.
Yeah, no, it's been nice. Didn't intend about that long, so had to get out the road when all the running started because a few whippets in the team.
Yeah, we like seeing you out there, mate. The big arc, striding down the pitch and trying to clear the pickets. That's the sort of cricket we like to see.
Yeah, exactly. It's all proactive.
2 from 2 now. Certainly aiming on to continue the midweek games and head into those weekend games with a perfect record.
Yeah, exactly. The boys are starting to put it together, which is really nice this end of the competition, and hopefully take the form into this weekend as well.
Yeah, lovely. Obviously, you touch on that, the 2-day form. Lost last week for the first grade to Wallsend, so they'll be looking to bounce back.
Yeah, exactly. There was a really good performance by Wallsend, and hopefully we can put it together against Cardiff this weekend.
You've been getting some runs in the lower grades. Any chance of a call up in the 2-day stuff?
No, not at all. No, steer clear of that. This is a longer format for me as it is.
Yeah, lovely, mate. Thanks very much for your time. Best of luck for the remainder of the competition.
All right, cheers. Thank you very much.
Thanks to Mark McLaughlin. I'm just wondering when is the third 100 coming for him? He scored 2 this year in the lower grades. Looking for a third. It's probably not too far away the way he is batting at the moment. Chris McPherson, thank you for your company on the boundary this afternoon, and to you, Jared Logan.
Thanks very much, Ben. It's been fun as always. Looking forward to coming back for another 3 nights next week. There's some absolute belter clashes as you went through before, so anyone that's out there and considering it, either get down here or tune in on Bar TV Sports. There'll be plenty of action for your viewing enjoyment.
Precisely. And make sure you check out the boys' podcast, Sports Castle. They do a terrific job. All right, well, I'll catch you guys next Tuesday for that all-important round 3 clash. Until next time here on Bar TV Sports, I've been Ben Homer. Great to have your company. We'll catch you next time.